So what is the idea? The idea is to understand how to properly analyze markets and opportunities. Sorry about the zoom. Okay. So when we go about analyzing market and opportunities, which means this here, right? Target audience and use case. So we are going to analyze one at a time. Today, we're going together to discuss about a product that is a virtual reality tool, right? Kind of a glasses with a software inside the glasses that can showcase flat condos, residential condos before they have been built, right? So a potential buyer of the condo can experience the walkthrough. I will share with you a video of this technology so you can make it more tangible. Now I'm explaining you the process, right? So first, we pick the market we want to analyze. Then with the methods I've told you in the first session, which is customer interviews, ecosystem interviews, all of that types of research, we need to research, right? And with the findings of the research, we go through these scorings factors, right? So these are different types of factors. We have 9 types of factors. The first big chunk of the factors are easy of buying factors, and they are critical for the success because that means it's about understanding the market opportunity. If there is no need in the market, if there is no problem in the market, it's going to be very hard to succeed. So the most urgent, the problem to solve, the most painful, the most costly, the problem to solve for the market, the easier it will be for us to sell and to achieve product market fit, right? And here we have 3 factors that we will analyze. We will analyze the type of target customer. We will analyze the compelling reason to buy, which means why they want to buy this, or what is the, in the sense, in the side of the customer, what it is, what's the problem, what are the pain points, what makes it such an urgent problem to solve for them. With this, we're going to understand a little bit more why they want to buy. And then the complete solution, we will go through the complete solution. The complete solution, this is a very broad, big topic, I would say, but I will try to simplify short. The complete solution means that you are right now thinking, and most of the time, we will actually probably we're thinking about the features, right? And it's all about the features. And features are much needed. Without the features, we don't have a core product and we don't have innovation for sure. But the complete solution are other complementary services that in the eye of the customers are required to buy the product. And I'm going to put an kind of extreme example for you that I hope that you understand. And if not, please ask me. Electric vehicles, right? So I've been interviewing people on whether they or not are going to buy an electric vehicle or a Tesla in this case. And then the electric vehicle, it's a vehicle, right? So the core technology is, okay, it's the touch screen of the Tesla and is how they accelerate, the mileage, how far you can go with a recharging, the speed, how comfortable it is, and all of that are features, right? And there are hundreds of features in an electric vehicle. But then when I went through the interviews, the hesitation points and objections were not about features because everyone knows what is a vehicle and how to use a vehicle. So in a pure sense, at the end of the day, it's about driving. And yeah, I can have some more different core features, but what truly changes for the end user are the elements of the complete solution. It's not how far it goes, how fast it goes, the screens and all of that. The complete solution is, okay, if I have to charge my Tesla in the middle of nowhere, I know that there are gas stations because gas stations, they are all over the place. but I don't know if there is going to be an electric charger. So the complete solution means that for the end user and for the mainstream to buy an electric vehicle, there must be a network of chargers as big as the gas stations to provide that safety net. So that's part of the complete solution. It's not a core feature, but it's something required by the market to buy it. Okay. So that's one thing. The other one is I typically go to a friend of mine with my gas vehicle to repair it and for the revisions. But now with the electric vehicle, this friend of mine, he or she doesn't know about electric vehicles. I don't know where I am going to repair my vehicle or for the revisions. So what that means is the complete solution requires familiar points of repair for electric vehicles. So the core features remain the same, but the market is requiring before buying this type of service, right? Now, in the software landscape, you've got Microsoft and you have Microsoft 365. Almost everyone can have an Exchange email address. It's very easy. But then when it comes to products like Azure or Microsoft SharePoint, which are products that require some type of adaptation to the end customer, when you have to sell it, and I've been there, the customer is going to say, are you going to adapt my look and feel? Are you going to adapt it to my end user workflow? My users, they don't like this part of Office 365. Let's adapt this to how actually use the internet, right? And then you need a software developer that is not Microsoft because Microsoft is not providing that services, or if they provide it, it's super expensive in order to adapt the core product, which is Office 365, to the end user. So that is an value added service that is required by the market to buy Office 365. Do you get what is a complete solution? Means all the complementary services and products that we need to put around your features in order to sell to the mainstream market your product. Is that clear with the examples?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Nice. All right. Then easy of selling factors. Easy of selling is how it is for you as a company or as an entrepreneur to sell this. We will be looking at distribution channels, at competition, and an ecosystem partners allies. And then organizational effectiveness factors, which sometimes we put together with AC of selling because they are very similar. It's also about how effective you are as an organization or as an individual to sell this. Is what kind of pricing can you provide? Sometimes you cannot provide a pricing that gets ROI, which puts you in a bad position in order to sell this. What is your current positioning and strength? So, for example, let's say that you're launching a healthcare device, but up till now, you didn't know anything about healthcare. You are not a PhD in healthcare. You have no experience in healthcare. You are not a physician. You have no idea about healthcare. So your strengths, your knowledge, your track record is not going to provide the market the credibility that you need to sell this. So we need to look at this. That's strengths and positioning. And then next targets. Next target means that, okay, right now we're looking to one opportunity, but we want to, and this is related with your question of yesterday, Radhika, is about the market size. Most of the times, founders and leaders are going to tell us, hey, the market is very small. Yeah, but that's how you win a market, starting small. Amazon started with books. Apple, they wanted to do a lot of things, but they were successful by truly marketing and winning the market for, I was going to say laptops, but they are not laptops, desktop computers for designers. This was their first market leadership segment. The market leadership segment for Amazon was books. The market leadership segment for Microsoft, they started with operating systems. So every super big successful story, Stripe, recent case, they started more with e-commerce and with just a checkout tool, which was basically code. Small, start small, right? And then what you do with the next target is you analyze if it's easy to jump to understand it. Like, for example, Stripe is a very easy example. They started selling this checkout tool or this checkout code for e-commerce because the e-commerce was the number one segment in which they saw they were adding value. But e-commerce is very similar to SaaS. And SaaS had a massive problem of charging. So the next target, which is a follow-on target to jump after you tackle the e-commerce, for them was SaaS, software as a service. So they jump it, and you jump from one target to another, one at a time. And that's how you build a big market. You don't build a big market going for all the markets at one time. You go one by one. And we call it the bowling pin strategy because it's like playing the balls, right? So to play the balls and to make all the balls fall, you need to hit the bench head pin, and then all of them will fall. Okay. I have a video about this and I will show you. Cool. So we're going to start with target customer reflection with the target customer. Let me show you the technology. Okay.
Okay.
This is what we're going to market and we're going to analyze. So it's a VR tool that you put in your hand, right? And you walk through this space. That's what they show, right? That's actually a condo apartment in Miami. Can you see that? That looks real, but it's virtual reality. That's because they reproduce the landscape and the views. Got it? Look, they also reproduce Paris in the amenities, in common spaces of the building, right? So the buyer can truly understand how does it look like living in that type of apartment. Okay, so you walk through, and then as you go walking through with the virtual reality tool, with the glasses, you're going to see the apartment, the amenities, everything. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Now let's analyze this tool. We're launching this tool to the market. We don't know where it fits. We picked this target use case. Let's analyze virtual property showcasing for residential developments for this same use case, right? Then the one that I've showcased to you. And we're going through all the thinking. This is a discussion. This is teamwork, okay? Target customer reflection. Okay, let's think about target customers. So our target customers are VPs of sales in residential real estate developers. So how well funded is the target? Do they have existing budgets to invest in this category of product? For this, we need to understand them, right? But the first thing that pops in my mind is when I've been working with real estates, sales actually don't have much budget. It's marketing budget. So that pops in the mind, the reflection of should we talk to sales or should we talk to market? And then how much budget do they have for marketing, right? Are we talking about hundreds of thousands or are we talking about tens of thousands of dollars to sell this? Radhika, what question pop in your mind?
So here I feel like the difference is that even though the marketing has the budget, the sales is going to use it because the sales agent will be on the field. So the user is one person and the person with the money to go buy this is another department already.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering whether your target customer is the buyer or is the target customer the user?
That's a great question, and they are both. So when we're doing a buying committee, so here we are not analyzing the entire buying committee because it will take a lot of time. But to your question, to do this exercise properly, we need to analyze both the buying committee because the buyer has motivations and the end user has another motivations, and we need to understand both. Here we will say, okay, if we can convince marketing as the buyer, we can say they are funded. We need to understand how big is the budget. We cannot say yes. We need to understand if they have budgets, if they are buying this, and how much are we spend? For example, this is part because as we go through the reflection, you'll also see that some of the questions that pop in the mind are part of other parts of the reflection. Like, for example, maybe they don't have budget for this technology, but they have budget for showrooms because it's how they are doing it right now. So that's competition, right?
Uh,
So
I
how
don't
is your
understand
audience?
I don't understand how to, what do you mean by budget for showrooms?
Okay, so a showroom is right now, how do they sell the condos? You enter into a building and they have a showroom that represents one of the condos.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then you walk through that and it's a showroom in which it's a condo, but it's not a condo. It's in a business premises, it's a commercial, and the condo is not built because the building is still not built. So they are showing you a mall in the showroom. So they are spending money in showrooms. And for a showroom, they have to spend a lot of money because it's a small building representing how a condo looks like. That's expensive. They are creating maps, they are creating 3D renders. That's how they are doing it right now. So when thinking about the budget, we can say they don't have budget for this, which means we are creating a new category. But they have budget for showrooms. So maybe what we have to say is okay, instead of spending millions in showrooms, spend thousands in this technology. And that takes our conversation also into competition, which is
Okay.
they are right now, the status quo is showrooms, is 3D renders, and all of that.
Okay. Okay. I get it. So today, what is their alternative to this? And they have a budget to that for that alternative today, and they're already spending it.
Exactly. Where are they spending their money? Is there money for this technology or is there money for an alternative way of solving the problem?
Okay.
Okay. Because it's different. If there is budget for our technology, that is very good
Okay.
because that means they recognize the problem and they are actually buying this type of technology, which means it's going to be easier to sell it because they have budget. But if they have budget for showroom, it's going to be very difficult because we have to convince them to switch from showrooms to this technology, which means we're creating a new category. We are switching the way they behave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Boris?
I'm wondering, does it necessarily need to be a switch? Can they use both? Can they both exist as solutions for a single customer?
Yeah, they can. The problem is that they have budget for both.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the question we need to answer in the market, right? And depending on the answer, so the more budget they have. So here is where we also tackle the compelling reason to buy. This is very connected. If a market exists, which means that the end user or the target audience recognize they have a problem, means that they could be looking for solutions, means that they have allocated budget. All of that is connected. Problem aware, they know they have a problem. They know there are solutions in the market. And then the third step is they are allocating budget. So the more in the side of they are allocating budget, the easier it will be to sell. The more on the side of they don't even know they have a problem, the more difficult for us will be to sell because we will be creating a market category. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Here, would you have all the questions that will make you reflect? For example, does this buyer have authority to make the buying decision? Maybe the VP of sales don't, but the VP of marketing they have. Are these buyers well connected as an industry and do they reference each other? For example, if you are selling to different roles and different job titles, which they don't reference each other, that's not a segment. A segment by definition is someone that then you can reference in a testimonial. Okay.
Okay. I have a question. If you, let's just say that in this case, that the buyer is the marketing, right? They have they have showrooms as a standard to show their property. Now, if they don't have budget, what should we do? Should we just is it just that this product shouldn't be launched or this capability cannot be brought to life, or you reassess the budget, you reassess the buyer?
Mhm. You first go through all the use cases and audiences, the markets, and you do all this scoring exercise for all of them. Let's say that maybe you have 5. You go through it, and then with the average scoring, you will find the top use case. Maybe the top use case is not this one. Now, the top market, sorry. If the top market is this one, and you have the problem that you are telling me, that means that you are creating a category and you are pushing change in the market, which means behavioral change. Okay. And what that means is that you remember yesterday the core and the types of buyers. That means you got to find your early adopters. Okay. What that means? That means among every 100 users, you will find 15 that will be okay allocating budget, even though they didn't know about your solution because they want it badly. That's an early adopter. An early adopter will make budget for your solution. So in our case, we go through 100 different condo developers. Let's say that we have scored 5 segments, and the top segment is this. And we realize that we are creating a market and they don't have budget for this. We have to go introduce this technology to them. And out of 100, we can expect that around 10 to 15 will say yes. And will allocate resources for this. And they will allocate budget for this exclusively.
But in this context, the market already understands they have a problem, or they don't. So you could have a market. So there could be a condo sellers that don't say, they don't tell you the problem is I want this VR headset or whatever. Their problem is we don't have enough sales, or we're not able to convert our properties from what it is to a sale, or we don't have enough whatever early buyers to sign up. Right, that is their
That's it.
problem. And
Yeah.
then you tell them this is how we can solve for you. That is the solution, right?
Yeah.
So that is
You
one
got it.
market, right? What I'm having a hard time also to understand is what is another market, Jose? Like, is the other market somebody completely different?
Yeah. For example, another market is here we have different markets. Yesterday we came up with some of them. We have for commercial real estate brokers and leasing agents. This is another audience. We can provide this tool for investment decision support with realistic property projections. That's another market.
Okay.
It's another use case for another target audience. And that means another scoring and another discussion.
Okay. Okay. Now I understand it. Okay.
Okay. Boris?
Yeah, seems clear so far. Yeah.
Okay. Radhika, you have more questions?
No, I was actually trying to draw a parallel to my work to this, and somebody else was trying to explain these different markets to me, and I was just not getting it. But they were different use cases, and each use case. So he came up with, he said, I think of these 3 different use cases, and then now think how your solution can fit into these use cases. And I just didn't know how it will work. So maybe I will learn all that today.
How will work what? Sorry? Can you
How will I
explain
know
to me?
which of those use cases has the maximum potential to buy and maximum potential to use?
Exactly.
I don't know how to go from the step of these are the 3 use cases, this is the solution, but which one should we really take? Because it's so early, we can go to any of these 3.
Okay. So you do this for each of the use cases. So
Okay.
here you will copy all of these 3 times, one for each use case. And you will go
Okay.
through this exercise 3 times, one for each use case. And then
Okay.
the second step, you will score each factor.
Okay.
Okay. Here is, you will put here from 1 to 5. This is a 5. This is a 1. This is a 2. This is a 3. And then you will have you will have either the average or the sum of all of them. Here, you have the calibration. How to score, right? You have all these structures here. Okay,
Okay.
target customer. You do a 5 when there is an existing economic buyer for this scenario and they have the authority to make the purchase. And they are currently making investments to achieve comparable types of benefits and are well funded.
Okay.
You would put a 1 when there is no existing economic buyer. And in general, this application or use case, application is the same as use case, is characteristically underfunded if invested at all. So in the scenario that we have, this will be a 1 because we're creating a category. Nobody's allocating budgets for this
For it.
VR tool.
But if they were allocating budgets for some tool to improve their sales and they do not know what it is, it may not be this VR thing or showroom. It could be like they want to invest in a marketing campaign or a Facebook advertising campaign. Would that be 5?
No, because the use case is not the same. You said it. Facebook advertising campaign. The use case is I'm allocating a budget for an advertising campaign in Facebook. The budget should be I am allocating a budget for a virtual reality representation to include the sales of the condos.
Okay. 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 I get it. But in that case,
Okay.
they know the solution, right? What happens when they don't know the solution at all? They just know that their sales are not happening.
Yeah,
And so that's when you introduce a category to them and you tell them this is a
exactly.
new. Okay.
Exactly. That's why you gotta find early adopters.
Okay.
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 And it
Okay.
will depend all on the final score. So when you get the final score, you will say, okay, this is my top use case or market use case plus audience. And then with that use case or audience, you will say, okay, I am creating a category because maybe they don't have budget and there is no authority. So I have to find early adopters. Or this use case is in the mainstream. What that means is I'm selling to pragmatists. So the approach will be different, but you can, if you are creating a category, that's okay as far as you have resources.
Because they want a good solution, a well-baked solution, the pragmatist.
Because you have to educate the market. It will take more time to take off, to sell to the mainstream.
Okay.
Because pragmatists, they will be waiting for having, so the pragmatists, they will wait till competition exists. Because competition validates a market. A pragmatist doesn't want to go first, right? So what that means is that you're launching a brand new thing. They are not going to try first. They are going to wait to see what the market thinks about your solution, to see if there is competition and to validate the market because they don't want to risk failing or something that is going to disappear. So they will wait, hold, and say, okay, until I see that all these early adopters have bought the solution in my industry for this use case, I will wait. And then I will look at the competition or I will compare. If there is no competition and I cannot compare, that's too risky.
Okay.
Okay.
But okay. So in this case of this VR headset, right? There it would be one. There's no existing economic buyer, is what you understand from your research.
There is various marketing. We gotta convince marketing. And then our champion is sales. So sales is who
Okay.
wants this, is the champion, is championing our solution. But then marketing is the one who has the battle. So there needs to be a conversation between marketing and sales. And most of the time we need to involve the CEO because they need to change the incentives of marketing and sales. That's
Right.
the difficulty of creating a market in B2B. In your case, because developers, the market that you are targeting is not that much difficult in terms of the buying committee, the decision should be easier, right? But in this case, it's a very difficult decision-making process in terms of the target customer. That's why in this case it's a 1.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We need to move forward because there are a lot of elements and we cannot get stuck in just one element, right? And I want to go through there. Okay. The second element is a compelling reason to buy is, for example, what is the awareness of the problem in the customers? And here is where we start a discussion that you were saying. Do they know they have a problem? What is the awareness? Do they think they have a problem or pain? And what is the penalty? How much they are losing of not solving this problem in terms of lives, money, time? Can they be fired? They're getting super frustrated. They cannot keep up with this. Are most of the prospective customers in this theory, in this market, seeking for a solution right now or not? That determines if we're creating a market or not. And is this a nice to solve problem or a must solve problem in the eyes of the customer? What do you think?
I think I understand this. I have one follow-up question. Sorry. How do you know? Do you get all this information is got from like customer interviews, right? Or by talking to these prospective target segments or market segments? What is a good number? Is there a heuristic that we should follow? Like you should see 15 out of 100 or 5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, because is there a heuristic or there isn't?
So we found that after 15 interviews, qualitative interviews is not like quantitative. For quantitative, you need a big base. But for qualitative, in 15 to 20 interviews, you will see patterns. But they
Okay.
must be the same target audience. For example, if you interview the head of development or the head of engineering in a business with a size of 500 employees, that is different from a solo developer or from a business of 10 employees. They are different. You cannot add them to the 15. It's
Yeah, they have to be
15,
in the same.
exactly, 15 by each segment because they have different problems. So you cannot mix problems and audiences, okay?
Okay.
Boris, thoughts? You're very silent today.
Sorry. I hosted my own workshop today as well with a client for 2 hours on content strategies.
Mm,
We're a bit tired. Sorry.
yeah, that's
You-
fine.
I think interviewing people from the same segment makes complete sense. I'm thinking about your question, awareness of the problem. I'd assume that those developers who are struggling with sales know that there's a problem and they're likely searching for a solution for different ways to solve it.
Mhm.
Those that aren't necessarily struggling with sales as much would not be interested, right?
Mhm. Yeah, which means now, and that also speaks to marketing, right? So when they think they don't have a problem and we're trying to sell a solution, which means we are creating a new category, we're changing behavior, we're changing the way things are done. We have to sell the problem. We don't have to sell our product. We have to educate on the problem, right? Because they are not problem aware. And if we don't make them problem aware and point them and say, hey, you're losing all this time, you're losing all this money, you may lose your job, this is what's going on, they won't realize. And because they won't realize, they won't find or they won't be open to buy a solution. Okay. So we're entering into messaging and market, but just how this connects with that, right? If the market is not aware they have a problem, we need to solve the problem before we sell the product or the solution, right? All right. Then in terms of complete solution, what complementary services are required by the buyer and the end user to achieve their compelling reason to buy with me, which means, okay, this VR tool, I have to learn how to use it. Probably I can have some issues if I'm not very techy. So what I can think is, okay, how do I start to understand how to showcase this to our clients? What happens if it doesn't work? Which means, do you have support service? Here is where we think about that. Are you going to provide me support service in my opening hours in case your solution doesn't work and I have a client that I have to showcase the condo? Because look at that. If you're telling me to remove the showrooms and change the showrooms for this technology, and then your technology doesn't work in a given point of time, how am I going to show the condo? I'm going to lose that sales. So for the buyer to buy the solution, to have a complete solution, we need to provide a super service. So the buyer has the safety net that in case this fails, someone is going to help them right away, right?
Yeah, so they likely need not just remote support, but maybe even like on-premise support, someone to come there, potentially like a technician or something like that, fix the thing,
Yeah,
as opposed to like a technical audience might want documentation, but for this type of audience, documentation wouldn't be too much help.
fantastic. Yeah, that's the way of thinking. What else, Radhika? What pops in your mind?
I think that they would need definitely the support, but also what if my device stops working and I've just bought one? So can you give me a replacement or can you give me something immediately within few hours? Can I go exchange it for something else? So can I go to, for example, can I walk into the Apple store and get my new phone because now my phone doesn't work? And
Fantastic.
I would think batteries, like this thing has batteries. Does it have a backup battery? Hey, I used it and then the power just died. And another thing I would think is, can it work with, I think this is, it would need Wi-Fi. So what if I don't have Wi-Fi? Can I have offline? Can I put it on my, do I have like offline something? Because at the end of the day, the goal is a great experience. So everything that can stop that great experience is going to be a problem for me.
Fantastic. Fantastic way of thinking. I love it. Last example, we've seen the walk-in, right? So it's okay. I am not having showrooms, but how big is the premises that I need? Because people needs to walk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So do I need a big premise, right? And then if that is an issue to solve, that means that, okay, how do we figure this out? Either as a solution, you remove the need of walking and you just stay static, and then you can, with the hands, you can just move inside the building. That's one way of providing the complete solution to overcome that hesitation or objection to buy. And then the other one is together with your service of the glasses and the software, you provide a central point in every city, in Miami, for example, in which all the realtors can come in and walk in and use your premises. So they don't have any more to create showrooms and to spend money on their own showrooms. They come in and you're providing premises for everyone in the real estate sector to walk in and use your solution, right? So that's a way to provide the full solution.
Yeah. So it became less of the actual device. It became more of like the other things to make this device do what I want to do.
Exactly. Actually, you're becoming more like a service, a showroom service, right? A virtual showroom service rather than just a virtual reality tool, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the way of reasoning. That's the way you conquer the majority of the market. You don't conquer the majority of the market with the technology. You conquer the majority of the market with the solution, which is different than a technology or a product.
Correct. Okay.
Okay. All right. And here I have this type of competition. Let's figure it out. Then easy upselling factors, distribution channel. This one's easy. Okay. Is this target accessible through our current existing channels? So we are, let's say that we're a company and we are, I don't know, in South America. And we want to market this to the United States realtors, to these people here that we have defined, sorry, in the United States. Question is, do we have the channels required or do we have to build the channels?
Yeah. This
Right?
makes
Different audiences will require different channels. And what type of channel do we need? Is this more marketing intensive? Is more sales intensive? Do we need to fly? Yes, because this is an experience. So we need to fly to show this. It's going to be very expensive, build this channel, right? So if we're in let's say in South America, you want to start with South America, with someone local, right? Questions that pop in your mind regarding distribution channels. These are questions. Does this market needs value-added services to complete the company research to buy? This is for a complete solution. What are the requirements of selling to this market? Transactional selling, one-off, versus relationship selling versus value-added selling. And that's very different, right? So what is transactional selling? Transactional selling is a cell phone app. I download the app, I try it, it's easy to use, I like it or I don't like it, right? It's like the Spotify, it's super easy to use. I start listening to it, I like it, I don't like it. It comes with the music I want, with the podcast I want, or don't. And that's it. That's transactional. I pay for it, boom, that's it. Relationship selling means that your product is a little bit more complex and it needs different touch points to sell it. So, for example, a CRM, a customer relationship manager, you need to demo the customer relationship manager to see how it adapts to the end user workflow, to integrate with their databases, with their marketing systems. So you need a sales process and different sales touch points to sell this product. And value-added selling is even more complex, which means value-added selling is related with complete solution, which means, for example, in the Microsoft case, I have Office 365 and I'm Microsoft. I need to sell this. And there is the majority of the customers are going to tell me, I need to adapt this to my workflow, to the way my end users are using right now the internet. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So you need partners, and this happens with Amazon Web Services, with Google Web Services, and all of that. You need partners that add that value to the final user, that are going to change your technology and adapt it to the end user. So the question is, do you have that distribution channel? First, do you need it? And second, do you have that distribution channel? But in the case of the VR solution, what do you think?
No, you definitely need like a distribution channel, right? Either it's direct to customer or it is some other way, because otherwise, how will they? You have to have a community of sales agents and marketing in in this developers ecosystem.
That's very correct.
But what is the case when you don't have? Is there any case where you don't need a distribution channel? Isn't it every case almost does need a distribution channel?
Any case needs a distribution channel because you need to reach your audience. Any case. The difference is that, do you need to build it or do you already have it? But you always need distribution because it's your route to the audience.
Yeah. If you don't have it, it's a lot harder to get any traction.
Exactly. That's why here the score will be 1. You don't have
Okay.
distribution channel and it needs value-added services and all of that. So that's a 1 scoring. Then if you have the distribution channel to reach the audience, define it here, it will be easier. That will be a higher score in your scoring. Remember that we are thinking all of this to put a number here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Remember. And then competition. How crowded is this scenario with competitive solutions? Is your audience using right now an inferior solution to solve this problem? And how are they solving it right now? So we're competing with status quo, with showrooms, we're competing with 3D renders and all of that. But competitive solutions like that, still they're not in the market. There are virtual tours, but the use case is different. It's a virtual tour is different from a walkthrough use case, right? So in terms of the use case, we don't have a competitive solution, but we are competing against status quo, right? And for example, are there established market leaders in this market? They're not. So that's a fire.
Okay.
So in this case, we have the ups and we have the lows, right? So in terms of competition, it will be a 5 because there is no competition. But what is the law of not having competition? And this all happens always. Is that means we are creating a category, which means the complete reason to buy the client is not problem aware and they don't have budgets. Typically, what you're going to see is that a low scoring in target customer and compelling reason to buy means a higher score in competition. And the lowest score in competition means a higher score in target customer and in compelling reason to buy. That's typically what you can expect. Then regarding ecosystem partners analyze, in order to sell faster and to the mainstream and to be wider, we're going to need to surround ourselves with partners, like in the Microsoft case. To adapt the Office 365, those value-added resellers are partners. Microsoft has the biggest partner network in the world, and it's because they need to reach farther and they need to add value to the final clients in order to sell. Microsoft is nobody without their partners, right? Big part of their competitive advantage and differentiation comes from their partners, if not all. So the question, here are different questions to understand how are we doing with partners and allies. What complementary services are required by the buyer to achieve the compelling result? Actually, this one is wrong. This one is from here. So the idea with partner and allies is that they provide the complete solution. That's why they are very tightly related. What partners or resources do you need to put in place? Do we need to put in place to complete the comparison to buy in the customers? I don't know why this is wrong. Sorry about that. Probably copy and pasting. I created this yesterday. I updated it because we had another version and probably moving it. I missed this. But basically, partners and allies are industry analysts, consultants, industry associations, thought leaders, luminaries, educational institutions, value-added resellers, channel partnerships, all of that people that compose an ecosystem and it's adding value to the same target audience that you are in a very related use case, if not in the same use case. For example, here with this tool, we can think about partners and allies. A big partner ally would be a big realtor network or the Realtors Association in the United States. If we get a sponsorship with the Realtor Association in the United States and we can market through them, then we will drive a lot of credibility and it will be faster to educate the market and to get more customers, right?
Question: if you have in the typical software space, would the top companies in a particular space be your allies? Because if they adopt your solution, they create enough noise or like awareness for you. Is that also an ally? Can a
Who
customer
can
be an
you-
ally?
A customer can be an ally, yes, but it's not enough. A customer can and should be an ally. And I will talk about this. There is an entire session for ecosystem partners and allies. The problem with a customer is that, so the way it works in a market, and it's all about behavioral science, it's all about sociological science. I will talk about this in the last chapter. But the way a market is formed and the perceptions are formed and buying decisions are influenced is by driving, let's say, your brand and the problem you solve and educating the market is putting your product and the problem you solve in front of the prospective buyer through third parties. Now, a client is a third party and they should be, answering your question directly, they should be your ally and you have to leverage them badly to showcase your testimonials, to drive word of mouth and all of that. The problem with that is that an existing client is too close to you. So the way we see the market is by layers. The closest layer that a market has to you are existing customers. But there are way more layers. After existing customers, you have partners. After partners, you have educational institutions. Then you have journalists, press, media, you have thought leaders, industrialists. And then the prospective buyers, what they want is unbiased opinions. They will trust more someone that is has an independent opinion about you.
Okay.
And A client is already biased because it's very close to you.
Mhm.
So you want the support of a client, but the support that is better for prospective customers, because prospective customers take their communications as unbiased, are journalists, press, media, are industry analysts, are thought leaders, are consultants, other type of contractors, are educational institutions, are people, are institutions and organizations that they don't have a take on what you do. They don't make money on what you do. They don't have an interest. And they are not biased because of their relationship with you, right?
Okay, makes sense. They're more unbiased and neutral entities. So they are your
Exactly.
partners.
Exactly. You want more neutral entities, more independent entities, because the prospective customers will trust them more.
Mm, okay.
Okay. So,
Sorry, quick
yep.
question. So in terms of scoring this specific section, ecosystem partners and allies, are you scoring based on availability, like how many of these people are available, or in terms of how many of these do we have existing relationships with? How are you thinking about this?
Here, yeah. Remember, you can always double click here and check the scoring. You will score as a 5 when you know and you have a good working relationship with all the partners and allies that have to contribute to complete your solution. So in the case of Microsoft, partners and allies that have to adapt Office 365. In your case, I don't know, and to drive word of mouth on your behalf in the marketplace. The more you have with a relationship, with an active relationship, the higher the score. And the less, the lower the score. For example, a 3 is we know most of the ecosystem players, but we don't have strong ties to them or a relationship. And a 1 is there are key solution players that we need to imply, but they don't know them. And there is no way in the short term that we can build a relationship with them and we can have a partnership with them and they can support us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. The last 3 factors in terms of organizational effectiveness is how can you price this, your current positioning and your next targets? Because I'm afraid we will run out of time. It's very important, this one, to drive credibility. Your current positioning and strengths. Would the target audience view your company and your solution and your track record as highly credible and well known for solving this use case? For example, in this case, we're launching a VR solution about this VR solution for real estate and all of that. What do we know about real estate? In this case of these folks here, UPix, they know a lot because they are architects. They have launched several real estate companies. They are designers. They've been very successful with their track record. But that's the question is, do we have a strengths and a strength position or credibility and authority to tackle this opportunity? Because think about that. If I'm launching a healthcare solution and I know nothing about healthcare, I'm not a physician, a pharmacist, or whatever, they are not going to trust me, right? So that's the point. We need to look at our strengths and see if we can tackle this opportunity and be honest with ourselves. And a question that we can ask ourselves is what strengths would be required by the market on track record to trust us, right? Then we have pricing. What is the current price that we can achieve compared with the existing product prices? This is a big discussion, right? Because it's compared with the showroom or it's compared with nothing because we are creating a market. So we can compare with the cost of the showroom to educate. If our solution is way cheaper than the showrooms, that's a good way of positioning the pricing, right? We can say, hey, look, instead of investing all of this, now 75% of what you're investing on the showroom, you can invest in Facebook advertising for the condos. And 25% is going to be the solution. Compare the pricing with existing solutions in the marketplace, right? And how does it fit with the budget? What questions pop in your mind?
So one question that I was thinking is, do you have to actually think of it as, I think maybe Boris asked this, as or? Is there not an and? Is there not like showrooms and this?
Can you rephrase your question, please? I'm not
For
following.
example, like they already have the showroom, right?
Yeah.
But the showroom may be also in some ways limited. For example, they cannot really envision what happens outside the showroom, the parties on the deck and all, because the showroom is in such a place that it doesn't give you the true experience of being in that condo at that high rise level and where you can see down and the views and stuff like that. So does it have to be like an or? Why not say showroom
Showroom and what?
and the solution? Why not sell it as like you already have the showroom and you take this also?
Yes, you can do that. But then you're not removing the budget of the showroom. That's a discussion of positioning, actually. And that's also fair. You gotta, when you have such a complex solution like this, you want to test both angles. You want to go to one developer and say, hey, you got the showroom. And most probably I can tell you what's going to happen. If you want to substitute your showroom, you're going to face rejection. If you want to build it on top of the showroom, you're not going to face rejection, but it's going to be difficult because they don't have the budget, because the budget is for the showroom. So what you are asking is for a new budget, right? So in both cases, there is change in the organization. The answer is yes, you can do it. You can do it with your angle, and you should try, right? Mostly when approaching this complex solution to see which one works best. Now,
Okay.
the approach that requires the less change will be the most successful, because that means that you will be closer to pragmatist buyers, which are most of the market. So the cheap product market fit, most of the times, is about how are you adapting the solution to the final user. For example, we have this technology, right? Let's say that this technology minimum project is $100,000 or half a million. I don't care. Wherever, I look, hundreds of thousands. And then you go, they have to do budget for this. But if you have a way to provide a cheaper solution, the change in the budget you have to do, it's lower. If you're not asking them to switch showrooms for this at the very first time, the change you're requiring is less. If you don't ask for premises to walk through, the change you're asking is less. If instead of a super experience like this, would you create this slightly, let's say, slightly not that super experience, but better than a virtual tool, something that can be represented in a laptop or in a cell phone, product market fit will be easier. All of that we are removing changes, right?
Yeah.
Which means we're making it easier for the clients to adopt. We're making it easier for the clients to buy. All these easy of buying factors, we're making them easier.
Correct.
The easier we make all of that, the faster we will sell and we will achieve product market fit.
Okay.
And then most founders will tell me, yeah, but that means it's not cool anymore. Okay, that's fine. Do you want a cool solution that nobody wants? Or do you want to achieve market fit and make money and solve a true problem for the people? Why are you here?
True.
Okay. All right. And the last is next targets. With regarding next targets, it's about thinking, okay, let's say that we've been successful tackling this audience. VP of sales in residential real estate developers for virtual property showcasing for residential developments. Now, what we do next, we want to further penetrate in the market. Here we have another use case, right? What is similar? It will be similar to do the same use case for real estate investment firms. So we can showcase commercial premises instead of condos. We showcase commercial premises before they are built, and then real estate investment firms, they can decide if investing or not. So the use case is very similar, but the target audience is different. So we're changing the market, we're changing this, the target audience. The target use case, instead of this one, is virtual. So we're changing one piece of the market. We're jumping in the same use case to another audience. Now, how easy is that? Can we leverage these references to sell into this new target audience? That's one of the questions. Well, probably because the use case is the same. So we can say, hey, we've been doing this for things way more difficult, because reproducing and showcasing a condo with all the details, with the parties, with the amenities, with the views of the landscape, that's super difficult compared with a commercial premise. Super difficult. We can do this way easier, in way less time, way cheaper. So you make your decision of investment. So in this element, this factor, what we're thinking is, okay, once we win this market, who else are we going to convince? Because if we cannot jump into a new target, then we're done with the market. And we face the problem that you were asking yesterday, Radhika, is like, how big is the market? The market sizing is the last exercise. It's the 10th of the criteria, if you want. But we need to make sure that after we win this niche and this market, we can jump into another market. So we can continue growing sustainably. Okay?
That makes sense.
So what's the idea after this summarizing? You gotta go through this exercise alone or with your team, ideally after going through the interviews. You answer these questions, and then you use this table here, which tells you the criteria for the scoring, your reasoning after the scoring. Okay? And then you score. Use case 1, use case 2 for the different audiences. And then you get the score. And that average score, the top average score, is the best opportunity for your product market fit. Now, I'm not saying you gotta put all your resources in there right now, because we need to continue. So this is an iterative process, right? What we're going to do is, after that, we build the messaging, the sales pitch, the landing page, and we do a soft launch. We find our first clients, and with these first clients, we test if we were right, and we further iterate. We go through the scoring again. As we talk to clients, they are paying. We go through the scoring. Oh yeah, all of this were right. We can confirm with paid clients. Okay, now, boom, we put all the resources and we go all in for the opportunity. But this is an iterative process, right? So first is a little bit of analyzing the market and asking questions and doing customer interviews. But then you don't put your resources right away. You do a soft launch, onboard clients, and you ask again, you do interviews, and you analyze this again. And if you're right, then you put all resources and you go to tackle that market. Otherwise, you can still have resources to pivot before doing a general availability launch, right? All right. So what do you think? Questions?
So I know we're at time, but like one thing that's come up is, like, say you analyze your 3 audiences and say you pick your top one and you start working towards it, and you put some resources, you develop like the soft launch. But it is resource intensive also. It doesn't come for free. So if this VR solution was to be built, they would build all this. Would they build all this, or they would just build that video, which is like a soft launch, which is not. Was that video really what it is, or is it just like a vision of what it will be?
You start selling the vision what it will be, which is the MVP, right? So you will start with an MVP with limited resources. and you will get your first customers. And with your first customers is when you will continue refining this scoring and making sure that this opportunity is worthwhile to put all the resources.
Mm.
Okay. So it's like iterative process with phases, right? We continue the risking. So one part of the risking process is market interviews. We still are not building anything. After market interviews, we think this is the opportunity. Okay, MVP, first customers, and then more interviews with those first customers, iterate the market opportunity, and then you
Decide
put all
whether
the
to do it.
resources to build. Yeah.